be required to do community service. They could work at soup kitchens, homeless shelters, or clean up beaches, the principal suggested. I didn't want to be like everybody else, Josh says. I wanted to be me. And that meant finding a problem and creating his own solution. I asked my mom to take me to Miami, where poor people lived, so I could help, he says. I thought Boca Raton was this fairy tale place with no poverty. But needy people live all over the world, even in Boca Raton, his mom said. And she showed Josh by taking him to Florence Fuller Child Development Center, a daycare center in a neighborhood of migrant farm workers. Josh offered to help teach the young children. No go. The director told him he had to be at least 16 years old to work with kids. Well, is there anything the kids need? He asked. School supplies for when they start kindergarten, the director said. Josh was shocked that some families couldn't afford the basic tools of learning: paper, pencils, notebooks, and rulers. Josh promised that the 152 kids starting kindergarten in the fall would have all the supplies they would need, packed in their very own brand-new backpack. Sack It To You was born. Josh designed a logo and made business cards and stationery on his computer. Every day after school, he asked stores that sold backpacks or school supplies for donations. Day after day, he was turned down. He decided to try another approach. Maybe he could raise money to buy the packs and supplies. To raise the $7,600 he needed, Josh mailed out letters to family, friends, his parents' friends, and businesses asking for donations. He also knocked on doors in his neighborhood. At the end of the summer, armed with the donations and a list, he went shopping. When I handed the kids backpacks, they were so happy, Josh says. It was such a good feeling, I couldn't stop. Neglected teens needed supplies. Josh read in the paper that the Haven, a home for abused and neglected teens, needed school supplies. Josh took care of it. He raised another $6,400 for 128 packs. When I gave these big macho kids backpacks, something I always took for granted, some of them broke down and cried, he says. To Josh's surprise, reporters started calling. I thought community service was something that no one really cared about, he says. I thought you could only get on the news if you did something like kill somebody. The attention brought more donations. Office Depot offered to reimburse Josh for all the supplies for every backpack he donated. Later, because of budget cuts, they covered only supplies Josh couldn't afford, and then switched to providing thousands of backpacks, some filled with supplies. And the press attention brought even more requests for backpacks. Reporters sometimes get the name wrong. They call it Sack It To Me, so I say I'm not sacking it to myself, I'm sacking it to you. A cool $250,000. To fill all the requests for supplies that poured in, Josh needed money. He mailed hundreds of letters asking for donations. Over 5 years, he has raised more than $250,000. But like many new companies, Sack It To You is always strapped for cash. Once, Josh promised 76 backpacks to a program called Unabridged to be delivered in June. He was expecting 2,500 packs from Office Depot in late May, but they were delayed. So he called a local company and begged for a donation for the backpacks. It always works out somehow, Josh says. Collecting money is only the first step. Stuffing hundreds of backpacks would take one person hours and hours. So Josh corrals his friends to pick up the supplies and backpacks from local stores and his 2 storage centers and help him to pack them. When filling the backpacks, Josh follows Palm Beach County's school supply list, with exceptions. If an agency wants tissues, I give them tissues. Elementary school kids get things like pencils, crayons, and blunt-tipped scissors. Middle and high school students, slightly bigger backpacks, are filled with red marking pencils, pens, highlighters, sharp scissors, paper, notepads, and file folders. Everybody also gets 3 big glue sticks. The order for glue sticks got messed up, says Josh. I asked for 1,200, and they gave me 1,200 dozen.